something, how can that help us hasten the work? We as missionaries, as well, was taught an emphasis on keeping the Sabbath day holy and observing it. And there was this talk on multi-generational families. It starts out with children of converts are baptized. They then receive their own endowment. And then later on they have sealed to the temple. They have children and they have kids who are baptized, and this cycle continues. The most fear and the most place where people lose this is between the baptism and their endowment. And our presidency said this very bold and clearly. The reason for this is because of weak teaching and muddling the home. As we come together and recognize that our children is the biggest group of converts we can have in the church. And if we teach the kids well, they will feel desire, just as Connor has a desire to serve a mission. And we need to remember that the Lord is hastening His work, not us. Now we come down to the Sabbath day. There's a story I remember not many years ago that happened to me, and I'd like to share that with you. When I was a youth in the church, we had a companion trip, camping trip during the coldest time of January. We were a large group of youth and young student adults leaders. My dad was one of the leaders who came with us. We had our camp out in one of the biggest forests in Denmark, far away from civilizations. It was cold, especially when the sun was down. Because of the cold, we had many groups of campfires, in order for everyone to be near the fire and stay warm. One night, it was particularly cold. That night, I remember clearly, I was with my friends and we made our own campfire. We started talking and more came in. But as young frozen deacons and teachers came, my friends started telling them to leave, and there is not enough room. When I looked around and saw plenty of room. As the deacon and teachers left, the language changes and the bad words were spoken as the topics became worse and worse. I decided to leave. I didn't feel right talking and listening to the conversation, so I left. And how cold it was to leave the comfort and warmth of that campfire. I tried walking to different campfires, but there was no room for me. As I didn't know where else to go, I remembered that my dad decided to make a campfire not too far away. For some reason I heard it was inside that forest. I decided to walk towards where I thought it was. As I started walking away and into the forest, the light behind me became weaker and became darker and colder. As I realized I was going in the wrong direction, I turned around and the path that I followed was gone. I didn't know where to go, so I became scared. I was frozen, I couldn't feel my toes, and I couldn't find a way to a campfire. I walked for many minutes, felt like hours, and I still didn't find a path. I started to cry, and in my joy is dancing up and down because of the cold, I spoke out, why did I leave this campfire? Why does this happen to me? Am I going to freeze to death? Will anyone find me? Why haven't no one found me yet? Have they gone out looking for me? Do they even care? In my despair, I knelt down and prayed, asking for help and direction. As I was done praying, I looked up, and I saw a figure moving. I yelled out asking who it was. To my comfort, it was my dad. He told me he felt worried, and went to the campfires with my friends. He saw I wasn't there, and asked them where I went. He pointed in the direction of the wood. He was worried, and he knew that it was dark and cold, and it was getting worse. But he went into the dark wood. As he walked down the path, he said he felt that something was drawing him away from the small path and into the wood. After minutes he hadn't found me. In his own despair, he also knelt down and prayed for direction.